I'll let Bill and then I'll let you put it.
You indicated earlier, I forget the word, that it's more efficient to use the same design again and again. More efficient. More efficient.
Yeah.
And that's why dogs have limbs that may be similar to humans, etc., right?
Sure.
You use that example.
Right.
But then when it comes to whales, apparently you believe God decided they shouldn't be able to breathe underwater like all the other sea creatures, but that God would have to give them special, unique abilities to be able to live in the water full time and yet breathe air and deal with that consequence, and also stick in some useless internal, what look like leg bones, but obviously aren't leg bones, but they're there for some reason. So, I don't know, why do you think God went to all the trouble of making some sea creatures have to go up for air every 20 minutes or so at least, and all the others be able to stay in the water? I mean, it's much more efficient to make them all the same. And that was my earlier criticism about your point. It seems to assume that efficiency, because you used the word, more efficient, etc., to use the same design, well, it is for me because I'm only human. But if I were God with unlimited powers, the idea of efficiency and time is absolutely meaningless, because I could create 10 billion new species in a second just as easily as I can create one. And I don't have to worry about efficiency and time like mere mortals on Earth do. I'm a God with unlimited power. So that whole argument presupposes a God that is trying to save himself some work, like work matters. It doesn't seem to be consistent with the concept of an all-powerful God.
All right. Is this working? Okay.
What's the difference as long as we can hear you?
Yeah, okay. It's certainly consistent with an all-powerful God, because the term all-powerful God comes from a theological standpoint, comes from the characteristics of God, which he's a sovereign creator. That means sovereign means in control of everything, if he wants to be. And therefore, God could create it any way he wanted to. You're absolutely right. Efficiency is not the answer. Efficiency wasn't the point.
Well, you use
The point is people who argue against God's creation of those animals argue that God would not create them like he did. That there's so much imperfection in what is seen that God wasn't a very good creator. He wasn't a very good designer if he designed everything. That is an argument against creationism. I'm pointing to you that it's, from an evolutionary standpoint, it could be just as easily described by design as it is by common ancestry. As a matter of fact, it makes more sense. But that's not the point. I'm not trying to argue that I know how God thinks. All the evolutionists argue that God doesn't think because he's not there. So I get your point. I do get your point. But the point is, that's not the point I was making. And I would agree with you.
He could do anything.
He could do anything he wanted to, but he had to do it within the laws of nature that he established.
If he wants to.
He's consistent, wouldn't it? Gentlemen in the back there. You were next.
What were the two that you had up there? Reverse something?
Reverse predicting.
Okay, and the other one was circular.
Circular thinking.
All right. Is this the same as like deductive logic and inductive reasoning or logic?
No, of course not, because when you come to a conclusion about something based on facts, you start with the facts and you come to a conclusion.
That's
Circular reasoning, if I may.
That's inductive reasoning.
Oh yeah, okay.
Circular.
Circular thinking starts with the premise that you want to prove and comes back to it.
So if you start with a faulty premise,
I would say, in this case, I would say it is, but, I mean, most people who do not believe in God will have a hard time evaluating the possibility that God created everything. I mean, now, obviously, if you don't believe in God, you're coming from that standpoint. Now, on the contrary, if I believe in God, I'm coming from the opposite standpoint, okay? But what I want to tell you there is that evolutionists state in many writings that evolution proves there's no God. In many writings, Bill, you're not well read in the subject matter. Read some Dawkins, okay?
It proves there doesn't have to be a God. It doesn't prove there
That's
is a
not
God.
what they say. It is no God, and I'm going to try to evangelize you to believe the same. That's what they say. That's what they write about. Now, wait a minute. Let me do that. Christians who are understanding of the Scriptures, understanding of what they believe, would never say, I can prove to you there is a God of the Bible. A lot of people might say it, but they're not saying it with good reasoning. I will not say that to you. But I also will not say to you that the evidence is not there for the evolutionary story. It's not there. It's a story. It's a story that comes out with the result that they wanted. That's it. Wait a minute. You, Harry, man, who's next? I'm going to let this lady, she's not never spoken, and you've spoken maybe once or twice. Or,
And my point is,
you're going to have to use it.
efficiency or not, if God is God, why can't he choose to make some fish with gills and other fish that need to come up? Why is that wrong that they always have to be the same? They don't. He can choose to make both if he wants to.
I'll agree with you that it's not a point. 2 days ago, yesterday, we were riding somewhere. I said, it dawned on me, I'll be talking about how I believe in that God created everything we see. And people argue that he didn't, or it doesn't exist, or that he didn't do it. And I said, I think God has a great sense of humor. And what I mean by that is, if you study the flora and fauna on the earth, and look at all the weird stuff that you see, I mean, really weird. If you look at it from an objective standpoint, animal life is really weird. I think he did whatever he wanted to, but he did it consistent with the laws of nature that he established. Again, my opinion. Nobody in this room or no other agnostic or an atheist can give me an explanation as to why are the natural laws what they are. And how did they get there? And I haven't heard anybody argue that. They got an idea of how the natural laws of gravity and thermodynamics and all this, where'd it come from? Who decided it was going to be what it is? Yes, go ahead.
Anyway, I was in a discussion and one individual said, well, why aren't monkeys and gorillas evolving today?
Evolutionists would say they are. True evolutionists would say all life is evolving constantly. They live with a 4.5 billion years of the Earth's existence. And we don't have any concept of 4.5 billion years. I mean, we think a century's long now. Maybe a decade. A billion years? No concept. How can you think of a billion years as a human being? But they have all that time. So they say chance, natural laws of the universe, and time. Matter of fact, Lawrence Krauss said, you would expect there to be life with chance, 4.6 billion years, and you're going to have life. And that's a ludicrous statement, but he makes it quite often in his book. So something from nothing, why is there something rather than nothing, the universe from nothing? Anybody read that book? Interesting. Now, okay, I'm going to put you, Hardy.